I've been in these situations where people just say no to me, and I've always wondered why. So anytime I give any type of judgment, I try to say why and try to give constructive criticism on top of that. So thank you for receiving that, and I appreciate you guys so much, for real.
I want to ask you a question, not to shift, but I want to ask you an exclusive behind the bar question. I don't mean to say behind the bar because he didn't ask me to say that, but I'm asking you behind the bar. There was
Yes.
a recent tribute for your father, and you guys were not there.
Mm-hmm.
So, can you tell us a little bit about that? You don't have to say nothing. You not. You
Well,
guys were not there.
no, normally I would say stuff, but recently, sort of recently, I came out with a post that anything regarding Terror Squad, my father, Joe, anything in that situation, I'm no longer answering questions in that world because it seems, and this is just my perspective and it's also my experience, every time I open my mouth to even speak, whether it's bad, whether it's good, and I never say anything bad. I've always been humble in my approach, and even when I'm telling my story and my experiences, if it has anything to do with my father or anything like that, I get massive backlash. I get a lot of love, but I get massive backlash, especially behind the scenes
Thank you.
and industry wise. So it gets difficult to talk about it because no matter what I say in this situation, some people are going to agree or some people's going to look down upon it. It's going to cause more, issues. And these, so I respect the question. I appreciate it, but there's no way for me to answer this without
Yes.
getting death threats, without getting, and not from the parties involved, but there's just people who make fake accounts and they just come at me all day and my family and all this shit. And it's like shit I deal with behind the scenes of just even ever speaking about this shit. So if it's up to me, I just want to speak about Chris Rivers, what I got going on. Anytime I try to speak about shit that I
Yes.
rightfully should be able to speak about, it just creates problems. So,
And guess
it
what?
is what it is. So
Thank you for saying that. You said enough. I didn't mean. I almost feel bad for
no,
asking the
it's all
question,
love.
but
I explain in interviews. I always get asked questions like this, and I
no,
always try to
no, this
answer
is
it.
not an
And I
interview.
did
This
it
is
for the
not an
last, yeah,
interview.
no, of course. And but for the last 15 years, I always answered it. But for the last like about I think 1 year,
If
I've
you,
been saying it like no, there's no more questions like this I'm answering because
yes,
no matter what
no
I say,
problem.
like I
Yeah.
say,
I'm
it just
sorry.
turns
Yes,
around and
I,
yeah,
I
yeah.
almost I almost
But
wish
I
I didn't ask
appreciate
the
it.
question. But
No,
if you
it's
notice,
love.
I
It's love.
said you moved away from that shadow. Remember, I said
Yeah,
I
yeah, that's a
appreciate what
fact.
you're doing
I
because
hold on,
I
Larry.
appreciate your hustle. Like, and I just felt
Love.
like because you were here, I wanted to ask that question. But I
I try to be
respect
as
you.
constructive as I can, and I know I've been
Respect
in
that.
these situations. Yeah, I've been in these situations where people just say no to me, and I've always wondered why. So anytime I give any type of judgment, I try to say why and try to give constructive criticism on top of that. So thank you for receiving that, and I appreciate you guys so much, for real.